Hello, welcome everyone to another Paint With Me video. Today we are going to paint this Misty Calm Forest tree painting. If you saw my last video, you know that I started doing the Pantone painting challenge. And for the first painting, I did an ocean sunset using traditional gouache. If you'd like to check that out, I will make sure to leave a link for you in the description. So yeah, today, since I tried using traditional gouache last time, I thought this time I would try using acrylic paint. So of course, first and foremost, I chose a Pantone postcard color to start, and then I got all of my painting stuff out, and I will show you which colors I used so that if you would like to follow along, you can, or if you're just curious what pigments I used, here they are. I also used two brushes for this painting. One is an angled brush and one is a long detailed brush. I also, of course, used washi tape and a pencil, and if you're curious about any of these supplies, I typically leave a link to my master supplies list in the description. Okay, so since this time I'm using acrylic paint, I'm also going to tape a piece of scrap paper down to my desk underneath my painting, so that I don't get paint on the desk. So then I tape my Pantone postcard down on top of that scrap paper to keep it in place, and so I can create that straight line at the bottom of the postcard. So for this painting, I'm going to start with my background. I'm working from dark to light. I want it to feel really misty and magical, so I'm going to go from this really dark blue up to a light blue. To get that dark color, I mix some phthalo blue with a bit of turquoise and black. And as I move up on the postcard, I'm going to mix in less black and more white. Then while that dries for a moment, I'm going to add some slightly watered down white on the top of the postcard. As I move down to where the blue paint is, I start to play with the mixtures, adding in some of the blue with the white to create a bit of a transition color, and I work back and forth a little bit with this transition to get the look that I want. So once I'm happy with the background colors, I lightly sketch in where I want my tree to go. I'm just using a regular mechanical pencil for this with HB lead. Kind of sketch in where I want the tree to go, and I sketch in the branches, and it kind of helps me gauge where I want to put the shapes, kind of like where I want to put the bundles of leaves and where the trunk is going to go and the direction I want the branches to go out to. And when I start painting them, this gives me a rough guideline to accomplish that. And it's not a detailed sketch, it's just some rough marks. It doesn't have to look fancy. All of it is going to be covered up eventually. So once I'm all set with my composition, I mix some dark green using the dark blue mixture, and I add in some extra black, and this time a little bit of phthalo green. I last minute decided to add in a bit of yellow green as well, but I only put a little bit. So I put my first layer down, and I kind of just focused on the overall shape of the tree and where I want the lighter and darker spots to be. I decided to make a lighter section of leaves in the middle of the tree because I want those to appear to be kind of exposed to light, so they're a little bit brighter. And once I did that, I went in with a slightly darker green, almost black, to further define those darker areas against the lighter areas, and to start to add in some more of those leaf tufts and branches. Once that middle part was dry, I went in with that lighter green mixture and I started to add in some of the light green bundles of leaves. I also used this lighter green turquoise mixture to add in some leaves at the very tops and edges around the tree. Making some lighter marks on the sides here helps give that illusion that those leaves are further away from you or more distant from you. So they're like harder to see or more covered by mist. So this concept is called atmospheric perspective, and I try to use that often in my landscape paintings to give the illusion of depth in the painting. So after that, I decided to switch to a detailed brush, which is just a long skinny brush to help me get some smaller shapes. Now you can get thin lines with an angled brush as well, depending on how you hold it, but sometimes I like using a really long skinny detail brush because I want to add in certain strokes with more ease, and I feel like that helps me accomplish that. I also decided to thicken the tree trunk a little bit and add in some textures and broken branch pieces. I didn't want the tree to look very smooth. I kind of wanted you to be able to see that the tree had bark texture and maybe even some like glistening pieces where the light might hit it. So then I use the detail brush to add in some wild, long grass pieces kind of wisping in the front of the tree. And of course, I have a small obsession with little floaty bits and sparkles. So I speckled in a few floaties here and there with some white paint, and I used the tip of my detail brush to do this. So I have some thoughts actually comparing working with the acrylic paint versus the gouache paint on these Pantone card surfaces. So like I talked about in my last video, the surface of the postcards are kind of slick because there's like this coating on them. So the gouache was a little strange to paint with because the gouache kind of like stayed on top of the paper and didn't soak in at all. And this time using the acrylic, I think it was actually more successful because I feel like the paint had a better time adhering to the surface. I definitely realized during this that I am a fan of using excess water when I paint, or paint thinner if I'm oil painting, and I think that's because I just really like glazing techniques. It is part of my, I guess, style that I tend to gravitate towards, but it's a little bit tricky to do on these smoother surfaces, so I think thicker is better for the most part. So overall, I think the painting came out cute and I had a blast painting it. And if you liked it too, please leave me a thumbs up or a comment. And if you'd like to get notifications when I upload my next video, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. I hope that you found this paint with me helpful, and I thank you very much for watching and spending time with me today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.